IELTS Speaking Part 2 is the most challenging for most students because you need to talk for 2 minutes. So when you start, you get a cue card, which has some different parts on it, 4 parts that you need to answer. And you get 1 minute to prepare. You get a little piece of paper so you can write down some ideas for about 1 minute. And then afterwards, you need to talk for 2 minutes at length. And this is kind of the most challenging part of the exam. Now let's have a look at how we can help you with this. But before we do that, we're first going to have a look at what the examiner is focusing on the most. Then we will have a look at 3 options to study for Speaking Part 2. Then we'll go through the preparation of the question on the cue card, and we will give an answer, an example answer on the question on the cue card. And finally, we'll have a look at some more free advice to help you with Speaking Part 2. So what does the examiner want to check? During the exam, the examiner will be focusing on these 4 things: fluency and coherence, lexical resources, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. During Speaking Part 2, most of the focus is on fluency and coherence. Of course, the other parts are also important, but this is a part where you can really show off your fluency and coherence. Now let's have a look at why. So for Band 6 in fluency and coherence, is willing to speak at length because you have to speak 2 minutes, though may lose coherence at times due to occasional repetition, self-correction, or hesitation. So sometimes you correct yourself, or hesitate, or you repeat some things. You use a range of connectives and discourse markers, but not always appropriately. So again, you're kind of ordering or structuring your answer. For Band 7, again, speaks without noticeable effort or loss of coherence, so you can speak for a long time. Again, there may be some hesitations, some small hesitations, and some repetitions, and some self-correction. And again, a big range of connector devices and discourse markers kind of to structure your answers. And Band 8 speaks fluently with only occasional repetitions, just a few small repetitions or self-corrections. And there might be some hesitations, but the hesitations are mostly related to the content, the ideas that you're talking about, rather than the language. And of course, they use coherently and appropriately, so you use your linkers. So that's why it's kind of very important in Speaking Part 2 to make sure that you can speak at length for those 2 minutes, and that you can kind of structure your answer with different parts. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You link everything nicely with some linkers, and then you have a very good fluent and coherent answer for Speaking Part 2. Because 2 minutes is a very long time, and at the exam it will feel even longer, the best way to practice is to record yourself and put a timer next to it. With the timer, you can just check if you're up to 2 minutes. If you're up to 2 minutes, no problem. If you're a bit less, if you're like about 1 minute 50, again, there's not really a problem. If you're at 1 minute and a half or just 1 minute, you have to kind of practice some more so you make sure that you can fill at least 1 minute 50 up to 2 minutes of the time. This is kind of the most important practice. So put a timer there and check regularly to see if you are at 2 minutes. So let's practice together for the topic of family. But before we start the practice and I give you the cue card, let's have a look at 3 different ways how you can better prepare yourself and use this video more effectively. You have 3 options to kind of help you prepare for Speaking Part 2 and use this video effectively. So let's have a look at the first option. First option is you listen to the answer. Stop and pause from time to time. Take some notes. Look at the example answer below the video. Look at some of the language and the grammar used in the example answer, and try to use some of it for your own answer. And then, of course, create your own answer. Option 2, you go through the practice with me. So when you get the cue card, you stop the video. You write down your ideas for about 1 minute. Then you say your answer for 2 minutes, And while you're saying your answer, you record it so you can compare your answer with my answer. Though it might be different, still good to check the differences. And then listen to my answer and compare my answer with yours. And then you can look at again at the language and the differences that are between my example and your example. And then improve your answer and do it one more time. So again, record it, change your answer, and compare your first answer with your second answer and see how much you have improved. And option 3 is just watch the video, relax, and listen to my answer, and maybe still have a look at the language used below at the video, but just treat it as a listening exercise and listen to some of the language used and see if you can recognize some of the grammar and vocabulary there. So these are the 3 options that you have to kind of help you with preparing and using this video more effectively. So whatever decision you make, at least you're practicing, you're here, and you're working on improving your IELTS score. So let's have a look at the cue card. Describe someone in your family who you really admire. You should say what relation this person is to you. What are your first memories of this person? How often you see this person? And explain why you really admire this person. So when you get your piece of paper to prepare, the best way to prepare is to divide the piece of paper into 4 parts. This way you can focus on the 4 different parts which you need to answer on the cue card. So you can focus and write some ideas on this part, for the second part, some ideas there, third part there, and the fourth part there. That helps you really focus on preparing for the exam. And then afterwards, you can also still have a look at those different parts when you're kind of feeling lost and you kind of have a look, need to kind of a little bit of review. So let's start. My dad, memories, reading books, playing together. How often? Not very often. Away from home, but together. Really nice. Admire, passionate, rock, hardworking, generous. Anything else? Any other special qualities that I can think of? Yeah, we spend a lot of time together, reading things. My dad. Okay, that's it. Now, let's listen to the answer. So, one person in my family whom I truly admire is my father. My father is, well, my dad. He's been there for me since day one, guiding me, supporting me, and teaching me invaluable life lessons along the way. My earliest memory of my dad are filled with warmth and love. I remember him reading bedtime stories to me, playing catch in the backyard, and always being there to give me a reassuring hug when I needed it most. Unfortunately, I don't get to see my dad as often as I'd like. Life's commitments and distances sometimes make it challenging to spend as much time together as we'd both want. But whenever we do get the chance to catch up, whether it's over the phone or in person, it's always a special and cherished moment for me. Now, let me tell you why I admire my dad so much. It's not just because he's my dad, although he's a big part of it. It's because of the kind of person he is, compassionate, hardworking, and endlessly supportive. My dad has always been my rock, my steady pillar of strength. He's faced his fair share of challenges over the years, but through it all, he's remained resilient and unwavering in his determination. He leads by example, showing me the importance of integrity, perseverance, and kindness in everything I do. But what truly sets my dad apart is his selflessness and generosity. He's always putting others before himself, whether it's lending a helping hand to a friend in need or going out of his way to support our family. His capacity for love and compassion knows no bounds, and it's something I strive to emulate in my own life. In essence, I admire my dad not just for who he is, but for the person he inspires me to be. He's my role model, my mentor, and my biggest cheerleader. And I feel incredibly grateful and blessed to have him in my life. As you can see, we talked a little bit about the relationship with this person, which is my dad. Your first memories of this person, so memories. So we talked about a few memories. How often you see this person. We talked about this as well. But the thing we kind of focused on the most here, which was the longest one, was explaining why you really admire this person. So it can be different for any question. Sometimes you focus on something more than the other, but here there was a bit more to talk about the admiration of the person. Which one did you focus on the most? Remember, it's not really a problem if you only spoke about 2 parts or 3 parts or 4 or 5 parts. You can also add something as long as you kind of fill 2 minutes talking about the central topic. That's kind of the most important thing. The 4 parts are there to kind of help you and guide you, so you can kind of focus on things, and they help you kind of structure your answer. But there is no need to focus on all 4. So it's kind of normal that you maybe focus on one more than the other, or you maybe end up just talking about 2. So don't worry about it too much. There's no need for you to talk about all 4, because that's something that most students worry about. Oh, I haven't talked about all 4, I'm going to get a bad grade. No, as long as you fill the 2 minutes, that's the most important part. Now go practice some more speaking part 2. You can find the link to other videos of speaking part 2 below. The same thing, you can find the link to the website where you have some more cue cards. So I would say go practice and good luck with your exam.